So in this video I'm going to show you how I upgraded my NUC Mini PC from 2.5 gig to 10 gig. Maybe in your case it's 1 gig ports that you have on your PC, but I'll show you how I upgraded it to 10 gigabit. Because as you know, I got UniFi NAS sent to me for testing and I need to do some 10 gigabit tests. So this is Ubiquiti UniFi Dream Machine SE switch that we are using in this setup. It is a switch and surveillance solution, 2-in-1. So here comes the hard drive where you put your drive for storing your CCTV footage. Then you have PoE ports that are 1 gigabit speed, one 2.5 gig uplink where you would connect your internet, and two 10 gig SFP ports which you can convert into RJ45. It also has really nice display that shows everything what is going on, everything we need to know. Things connected, disconnected, broken, you're always going to find out what's going on. And simple things like IP addresses and things like that. This is not something other switch providers actually offer. And you also get phone application with this, so you can have all notifications about what's going on with your home network, what devices are connecting to what services. You can set up limitations for your home, so that tablets or phones cannot connect to services like Instagram or Facebook, or you can limit a timely access, certain hours a day. People will get access to internet and other things. And they also get UniFi NAS Pro. That is also very easy to use. You simply connect this to your UniFi Dream Machine and boom, you have storage available in your home network. So you can use it for backing things up or simply storing your files. It's very easy to use. You'll also get a display. None of the other NAS brands offer something like this. Touchscreen display showing information about available capacity, the IP address to connect to the NAS and other things. With this NAS you also get two ports. One is 1 gigabit port, another one is SFP 10 gigabit port, which we connected to our 10 gigabit Dream Machine. And obviously other port is going to our Mini PC where we are running tests right now. So first of all, I was thinking to upgrade my Mac, which has only 1 gigabit port. I used IO Crest cheap $80 10 gigabit adapter, which is USB 4 based, but there is no solid driver for the latest Mac OS, so this failed to work. So I was thinking I'm going to focus on my Mini PC, which I'm going to turn into 10 gigabit ready solution. Interestingly enough, this IO Crest USB adapter for 10 gigabit speeds did also not work on a Mini PC. This adapter has a really funny design. If you open this adapter up, you'll see that this is a little bit of Frankenstein solution with M.2 card underneath, which is connected to another card that has 10 gigabit port. So in that case, you get this USB plus 10 gigabit port. Maybe if you have older Windows like Windows 10, it might work on you. It didn't work on the Mac, it didn't work on Windows 11. So I abandoned the idea. And then I was thinking, what else I can do? How do I connect 10 gigabit card to this thing? And obviously, it doesn't have PCIe slots like you normally see on Tower PC, but it does have NVMe slots. So if you have NVMe slots and one of them is free, this is actually a miniature PCIe slot. All you need to do is you need some sort of riser card like this, which converts this NVMe connection to PCIe slot. So this will allow you to add either X2, X4 or even X16 cards to your PC, Mini PC that has this NVMe slot. It could be your network card, it could be even your graphics card. In future videos I might show you how to use this card to add graphics card to your Synology 1821 or 1621, but that's a different video. So in this setup I'm going to be using this Razer card. I'm going to put the link on the screen or in the description, and also this QNAP 10 gigabit card with single RJ45 port. I think this has a simple Mellanox chipset on it, but it's a decent card anyways. So this is our setup. The first step is obviously to install this in your mini PC. You install that just like any other NVMe SSD. There is no difference. Once you do that, you can then install your card, and that should pop up in your device manager as a new LAN connection. Obviously, like many other of us, I didn't read a user manual that it needs extra power. This NVMe connection will not give enough power for this card. And I did get supplied with a cable like this, which is kind of molex to SATA power. So normally, if you have power supply, this would give you power to this card. I didn't have power supply when I bought this adapter. All I had this cable and this Razer card. So I was thinking maybe I can borrow some power from these fan connections that you have. You found two of these. There are two fan connections on this board. So I was thinking maybe these 5-6 volts that you get for these fans will be enough to power this card. So I started cutting the cable to make some sort of converter from molex to mini molex. And it turned out that light did come up, but 5 volts were not enough. I didn't have another cable like this, so I couldn't combine two fans together. So I just decided to abandon that idea and get a power supply. Because power supply will come with a SATA and normal power, which you can then plug into, and you get your 12 volts to power any card you want to. It's not as neat and nice design or setup, but this is sometimes what you need. You might get a simple small 12 volt adapter, which will be tiny compared to this power supply, and that could keep your things fairly tidy and neat if you want to keep this miniature design. But otherwise, for this video, I'm just going to use power supply. Maybe in the future I will need that for powering the graphics card if I wanted to put it in Synology, for example, but that's again, it's a future video. Now we have 12 volts connected to this adapter, and it's connected to mini PC. So technically, we are now ready for our 10 gigabit setup. If you got yourself like SFP based card, you'll need SFP plus cable to connect your card to your switch, or if you wanted to connect your NAS and your PC together directly, it's up to you. For that reason, you will need SFP plus cable. Since I got RJ45 cable, I need something extra like this because my switch from UniFi has SFP plus port only. So this is an adapter that converts SFP plus to RJ45. You slide that in to your SFP port, and then you can connect your RJ45 cable. And that's it. It's a very simple converter. It costs around $20, but it's very useful adapter to have because RJ45 based cables are much cheaper compared to SFP, and it's easier to bend them around the corners and other things. So let's power it on and see what happens. So once you have powered your PC on, you can go to Device Manager and see if there's a network adapter appearing there. I already installed the driver, but if you're curious how to do it and where to find the driver, I would recommend to get Driver Finder. Driver Finder will find any missing drivers and allow you to install it one driver at a time for free. You just do the scan, and if there's any new driver that requires installing, it will pop up and allow you to install it. Also make sure you have connected internet. I would recommend you getting shielded cables to achieve better 10 gigabit speeds. In the short distance, simple cables that are not shielded will work as well. But if you want to get the maximum speed from 10 gigabit, make sure those cables are very well protected from interference. Usually thicker cable means better cable. I got some simple unshielded cable, which for a really short distance should still work. So if you need the driver, you will find it here, and then you can click it, update, and install your driver. Simple enough. So at this point I have connected my mini PC through 10 gigabit port, RJ45, to UniFi 10 gigabit switch, which has SFP port and adapter to converted SFP plus to RJ45. So we can use normal regular Ethernet cable. So let's test some speeds. So let's copy 19 gigabit file from a PC, from a computer, to a UNAS, which has 5 8 terabyte SATA hard drives in a RAID 5. Let's see what the performance is going to be looking like. Also open Task Manager and see what's going on in the background. So you can see there's no activity at this point. Let's copy this 19 gigabyte file to a NAS. So you can see the decent speeds of 300, yeah, that's around 300 megabytes a second, 400 megabytes a second. There are all kind of files, big files, small files. So obviously copying bigger files like a movie file, that kind of transfers will transfer at higher speeds. Smaller files like documents will decrease the speeds. That's why you can see fluctuation up and down when bigger and smaller files have been transferred. So right now it's uploading files from the PC to a RAID 5 based UNAS across 10 gigabit connection. So we could see even speeds going up to 400 or 500 megabytes a second. Let's try to download the very same files to the computer. So you can see the download speeds are very similar to upload speeds, maybe slightly slower. But on average you can see 400 megabyte a second speed, which is good enough for video editing if you wanted to edit 4K videos and you're the only editor in this setup. Because normally you need around 300 megabytes a second speed bandwidth for each editor editing 4K files. So these speeds are fairly good for that sort of purpose. So what are the bottlenecks in this case? It could be the cable, it could be the hard drives. Since I have only 5 hard drives in the setup, so technically RAIDing 5 drives together that have SATA speeds and mechanical hard drive instead of SATA SSD. With that sort of media you could achieve speeds like 400, 500 megabytes a second, what we saw. So maybe we can do something to improve the speeds. And in order to improve the speeds, there are several things like configuration. In network settings, you should make sure that our jumbo frames set to 9000, and also make sure the cable is shielded, especially if it's longer distance that you need to cover. Also what sort of media you use on your computer and the NAS. So in this case I have NVMe's that has speeds around 8000 megabytes a second, so there is no bottleneck. But on the NAS I have 5 SATA based hard drives. That could be a limiting factor. So I might try to change a RAID from RAID 5 to RAID 10 or RAID 0. Or I could replace those hard drives with SSDs and see what the speed difference would be. Let's check what happens if we change jumbo frames. That could be IPv4. Go to advanced, jumbo frames, a link speed, we can set it to 10 gig by default, and jumbo frames should be to 9000. Click OK, and then we can do another test and see what speeds we're getting. And you can see speeds have gone up a little bit at the start. So we are getting 400, 500 megabytes a second. So that's the first option, how you can improve the speeds with your 10 gigabit setup, changing the jumbo frames. But again, speeds will differ based on the file size you're trying to transfer. Okay, we can now also download the same file. And you can see the download speeds are also similar to upload speeds like we saw before. So the first question that comes in my mind is, what if I filled all of the bays in the 7-bay NAS? Instead of having 5 drives, I could have 7. So if I added 2 more drives, what speed difference would I get? Obviously, when you add extra drives, it will take a day or so to rebuild the RAID. So don't try to expect bigger speeds straight away after introducing a new drive. So yeah, we'll come back to this video when new drives are introduced so we can compare the speeds. But otherwise, this is how we upgrade our computer to 10 gigabit network capabilities using this simple NVMe to PCIe Express adapter where you can install the cards. Stay tuned if you want to find out, is there any speed differences if I introduce more drives, put SSDs instead of hard drives in the NAS, and if changing RAID type will improve the overall 10 gigabit performance.